Pangapsamnida. Got a serious topic here. Some news came out in the past few months about South Korea being the #1 nation, topping the list of all OECD nations as having the highest suicide rate. And in 2013, 14,427 people in South Korea took their own lives. That comes out to 29.1 per 100,000 people, which is generally how they measure things like suicide. And it's kind of a common topic when talking about society in South Korea. It's a very homogenous, still in a rigid phase. When you have a homogenous society and everyone is racially the same, culturally the same, they share the same history, they're also going to have the similar expectations for the younger generations to come up and do what they did. And you see that with the students. The past they were strong students, they want them to continue to be at the top of the podium for their students. And I remember when I first started at an all-girls middle school a few years ago, I remember walking around the classroom, and some of the girls, not a lot, but one particular case was really bad, but I would look down and I would see lots of gray hair on their heads, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is middle school. That's amazing. And I can tell you firsthand that if there's one thing that aggravates the gray hair situation and pushes it out of your head, it's stress. So I got to believe that that probably had something to do with it, because these students in Korea go to school all day and then they leave and go to a private school all night. A lot of pressure. But even after that, they have, excuse me, pressure to go to the best college they can, get married by a certain age, have kids by a certain age, have a certain type of job by a certain age. And in a homogenous society, if you don't comply, there's repercussions that are subtle within the culture that you receive. And that probably pushes a lot of people to commit suicide, because they'll probably get to the point where they're like, I can't be myself. I can't do what I'd like to do. What's the use? But I want to be in Korea. I want to be a Korean. Maybe that's what it is. Conversely, or maybe not conversely, moving over to America, CDC reports that 40,600 people committed suicide in 2012. It's probably pretty similar for 2013. So there you go. That's like 2.5 times the sheer number of people committing suicide in America, right? And we're all talking about all the suicide in Korea and stuff. Well, it is less than half the rate, but just goes to show you that people are taking their own lives all over the world, and there's more numbers doing it in America. And we're the ones probably writing the articles about how bad it is in Korea. Second on the list was Hungary, and third was Japan. We kind of knew that for a long time. The media makes us aware of things like that. I'm thinking maybe one of the reasons why America is probably much lower rate-wise is we're a multicultural nation, and then kind of going along with what I said before, you have all these different cultures and nations coming in and bringing their vibe of their country into the mix in America. And some of those countries definitely bring a much more chill perspective on life, not like do or die, this way or the highway type of thing. And that probably has a lot to do with keeping the suicide rate number down. Maybe. That's my opinion. But also I look at these numbers and I'm thinking, well, there's 50 million people in Korea, 14,400 people killing themselves. That's a lot of people, don't get me wrong, to take their own lives by any standard. But compared to other ways that people die, disease, natural causes, accidents, things like that, it gets a lot more press than those other things, I'd have to say. And the other ones are definitely higher, like disease, cardiac issues, just other diseases that people develop over their life that take their lives. But that's not reported. But, and the same in America. I mean, heart disease, cardiovascular disease, things like that is far greater than suicide. But anyway, that's that's how I think, I mean, Japan also third on the list, a very similar society, homogenous. They got a way of doing things, do it our way or hit the bricks type of mentality, and that's tough to keep up with those standards or to comply to those standards, not necessarily keep up. But anyway, that's what I think. What's your take on it? I mean, I know a lot of people have different perspectives. Maybe you're Korean and you have a different perspective of why the numbers are so high, or you're a Koreaphile and you have all the inside scoop on Korea. I'm curious about that. I had a student, I'm sorry, not a student. I had a teacher at my first school whose son took his own life, and he was in high school. Other than that, I don't know of any others. But I guess that's an example of an issue here with students committing suicide. By the way, the the greatest chunk of suicides happen between teens, early teens, maybe even like 12 years old type of thing, all the way up into the 30s. So those critical years where people have all the pressure on themselves. Because after that, also I can tell you firsthand, perspectives just kind of change in life, and different things hold greater levels of importance, and things that used to hold great levels of importance kind of fall down the list. But anyway, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace out.